Welcome to the Buried Truth. Tonight, we journey into the heart of a small town haunted by a chilling mystery. A case that began with a silent scream and ended in an echo of terror that still ripples through the community today. This is the story of Emily Harding and the night she vanished into thin air. It was a rainy evening in Hollow Creek, the kind of night where the sky feels too heavy and the streets far too quiet. At exactly 11:47 p.m., a young girl named Emily Harding dialed 911. Her call was patched through to a seasoned operator, a woman who thought she had heard everything. Oh, what? What made this call unforgettable was that Emily didn't say a single word. All the operator heard was the desperate, heart-wrenching sound of Emily trying to scream, but no sound came out. It was just the strain, the raw effort of a scream that was being stolen from her throat. The call lasted 13 seconds before it abruptly disconnected. And then, there was only silence. Officer Daniel Hale, a man who knew every corner of Hollow Creek, was the first to arrive at the Harding residence. As he pulled up, the house stood eerily still, a dark silhouette against the stormy sky. The front door was ajar, swinging gently in the wind, allowing the cold rainwater to creep inside and pool on the welcome mat. The home felt frozen in time. There was no movement, no voices, not a single sign of Emily, but something was immediately, undeniably wrong. Daniel could feel it in the air, a tension so thick it was almost suffocating. He drew his service weapon, his flashlight cutting a nervous beam through the darkness, stepped inside, his boots squelching softly on the wet floor. "Emily, police," he called out, his voice swallowed by the unnatural quiet of the house. The living room looked ordinary at first glance. A half-empty mug of tea on the coffee table, a book left open on a chair. But then his light landed on a small detail that made the hair on his arms stand up. On the couch lay Emily's phone. It was still recording, the screen displaying a live audio waveform. Daniel picked it up, his heart pounding, and listened. The recording captured ragged, heavy breathing. And something else. A faint rhythmic tapping. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Daniel replayed the short audio clip again and again, his brow furrowed in concentration. The tapping wasn't random. It was deliberate, a pattern he recognized from his early days in training. It was Morse code. His blood ran cold as he deciphered the frantic, desperate message. One single word. Help. The house, which had felt empty moments before, now felt claustrophobic, as if the walls were closing in. He was no longer in an empty home. He was in a live crime scene, and the victim was somewhere nearby, begging for help in the only way she could. Following the GPS data from the 911 call, Daniel moved deeper into the house, his flashlight beam sweeping across the walls. He reached Emily's bedroom. The room was tidy, almost pristine, but his trained eye caught something that shattered the illusion of normalcy. Deep, ugly scratches were gouged into the polished wooden floor as if someone heavy, someone fighting with all their might, had been dragged across it. He followed the trail of scratches. They led toward the center of the room and then just stopped. There were no footprints leading out of the room. No signs of a struggle near the window or the door, only under. Daniel knelt, his fingers tracing the edge of a large area rug. He lifted the corner, and his breath caught in his throat. There, hidden beneath the rug, was a wooden trapdoor he had never seen before in all his visits to this house. It was old, but the nails securing it were new, hammered in recently and with brutal force. It had been nailed shut from the outside. With his backup still minutes away, a crucial decision had to be made. Wait and risk losing Emily forever, or go in alone. He didn't hesitate. Using the pry bar from his duty belt, he worked at the edges of the trapdoor, the wood groaning in protest. With a final heave, it splintered open. A gust of icy, musty air rushed up from the darkness below, carrying with it a smell of damp earth and something else. Fear. He descended the rickety wooden stairs, his flashlight beam dancing into the abyss. The basement was pitch black, a void that seemed to drink the light. As his eyes adjusted, he saw a small, weak beam of light on the floor of Emily's flashlight, lying on its side. And beside it, Emily herself. She was huddled in the corner, her eyes wide with a terror so profound it seemed to have hollowed her out. Her mouth was open, straining, trying desperately to scream, but just like on the 911 call, not a single sound emerged. It was the most horrifying silence he had ever witnessed. Daniel rushed toward her, his voice a hoarse whisper. "Emily, it's okay, I'm here." But before he could reach her, a floorboard creaked above him. He heard footsteps, spun around, shining his flashlight upward. A tall, menacing figure stood at the top of the stairs, silhouetted against the dim light from the bedroom. The figure wore a dark, featureless mask and held a small, strange metal device in its hand, a sound suppressor. The man's voice was a chilling, calm whisper that cut through the silence. "She screamed," he said. I silenced it. Daniel instantly raised his gun, shouting, "Police, don't move." But the man was unnervingly fast. With a single fluid motion, he kicked the trapdoor. It slammed shut, plunging the entire basement into absolute, suffocating darkness. The heavy sound of nails being hammered back into place echoed from above. Daniel threw his shoulder against the door, shouting, trying to break it open, calling for Emily to stay with him, to hold on. But then he heard it again. That horrible silent struggle. Emily trying to scream one more time, her voice completely, utterly stolen. By the time Daniel's backup arrived and finally broke through the reinforced trapdoor, the basement was empty. The masked man was gone. Emily was gone. The only trace of their presence was a new, freshly scratched message on the cold concrete floor. A message that would haunt Daniel for the rest of his life. I screamed. But no one heard. The case of the silent scream exploded. It dominated news channels, became a viral sensation on social media, and was plastered on the front page of every newspaper. The entire country was captivated by the story of the girl whose voice was stolen. But despite one of the largest manhunts in the state's history, no sign of Emily Harding was ever found. She had vanished, along with her captor, into the rainy Hollow Creek night. Years have passed, but the story is far from over. Damn. Every year on the anniversary of her disappearance, residents of Hollow Creek report something strange. A phantom feeling, an unnerving sensation. They say if you walk through the woods bordering the old Harding property at just the right time, you can hear it. A scream echoing through the trees, a scream without a sound. A psychic pressure, a wave of pure terror that washes over you, the ghost of a cry for help that was never heard. And those who experience it, they say they never sleep peacefully again. The moral of this terrifying tale is a chilling one. Sometimes, the most terrifying screams are the ones no one can hear. They linger in the quiet places, in the dark corners of a forgotten basement, and in the memory of a town that will never forget the girl who screamed in silence. Thank you for joining us on The Buried Truth. If you found this story as chilling as we did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next descent into the unknown. Stay safe, and always listen for the sounds and the silences.